Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. And we should be good. So yeah, sorry about that. We have like little monitoring systems here that I was using about 80% of my CPU, which is a tad high. I do not need to boil water, so there's no need to have it up that high. But everyone, looks like it's settling out now. We should be good to go. Everyone, welcome back into Computer America, and thank you so much for joining us here on this casual Friday, everyone. And today on the show, we have the one, the only Nathan Evans. He is, of course, managing editor of Popzara, and you can check out all the stuff that they do over there at popzara.com. And, he helps us out a lot with events and, just kind of big news days and things like that. A lot of fun to talk to, but I got to say that, we still have him around. I think this is proof positive that we don't need him to help us with any conventions this year because, hey, I think CES was the last one to make it. So, with that being said, we'll bring on Nathan in just a moment. But before we go any further, I had this muted, and I never gave Carissa her chance. So I am your host, Ben, and
I'm your co-host, Carissa.
There you go. Way better than I do it. But Carissa, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. And so
good day for a Friday.
A good day for Friday, absolutely. So with that being said, real quick, computeramerica.com, past shows, future shows, podcasts, articles, reviews, social media, blah blah blah. And I think that's about it. So everyone, I hope that you're having a good weekend, or you are ready for a good weekend, had a good week. And Carissa, I think if nothing else, I think we're ready to jump right into it.
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, perfect. So, as I said before, Nathan Evans, Popzara, longtime correspondent for the show, and again, all-around fun guy to talk to. Nathan, welcome back on to Computer America. How you doing?
Hey, Ben. Hey, Chris. By the way, two things. One, first thing, your show tagline, any show tagline that has blah 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 in the title is a good tagline. And second of all, I need to apologize to your awesome new co-host because I was mispronouncing your name last time, and I had hate mail from Clarissa Hates It All fans, and I got to tell you, they are fierce. The bad fierce, not the good fierce.
They are the true sleeping giant of the internet. The Clarissa Explains It All fan group is right up there with the Buffy fan group. They are the true behemoths of the internet subcultures.
It's really not that much of a problem because, I'm used to it at this point. You can call me pretty much anything you want. Nobody gets my name right anyway, so it's fine.
We know the funny thing. Yeah, there's no Blossom fan group. They all devolved. No, but I apologize about that because I'm really bad at mispronouncing even my own staff's names, and so apparently I don't know what's wrong with me. But this is why people like me with our learning disabilities we have to give you nicknames. So your nickname will be Carissa.
Sounds great. It's perfect.
So
that's a good nickname.
But no, good Friday for everybody. It's awesome. Fridays are always awesome.
Absolutely. I think today's going to be especially fun because you have gathered together a number of articles. You try to keep it a little gaming light, but I got to say that, that's probably going to be the dominant topic in October, because that will be the last time that you'll be on the show. I think before Black Friday, and when a lot of people do their shopping and what have you.
Black Friday ain't happening this year. If it happens this year,
is it all Cyber Monday? That's it. Just Cyber Monday is taking over all the other days of the week.
Can I make a request? I have a special shout out I have to do because it's close and near to my heart. I just want to say well wishes to, I don't know if he's still congressman, but I don't know if you saw the news, but Ron Paul had a stroke.
I did not hear that. Oh,
yeah,
no.
I think it was on some streaming service. I want to say it was Zoom, so it's tech related. I have a little history with Ron because he was one of the first people we ever interviewed on Popzara.
Really?
And he and his staff, when he was running for president, actually poached someone from Popzara to do his photographs, and it was kind of fun. And then it was a lot of fun. I didn't vote for the guy. I didn't really support him, but he was nice enough to say yes. And so anybody who says yes gets my respect. But wish him well wishes. Having strokes are never fun, as we all know. I think we all have parents in common that have all had them, and well wishes to anybody going through that process. So yeah,
definitely
get better.
And yeah, absolutely. And of course, you can see here as well. Ron Paul, as of 1 hour ago, thumbs up in the hospital, of course, but saying I am fine and thank you for your concerns.
Ooh,
so
will you do me a favor? Play that GIF underneath. We need some good news. We need Robert Redford.
The subtle nod, like yes, everything's gonna be good. Good job.
It's gonna be okay.
Absolutely. So yeah, and so he's definitely doing well. And man, you never want to see anyone go through that. But speaking of parents, I guess is the best roundabout way I can do this. And let me see if I can do this real quick. So today is September 25th. Does anyone know what day what that really signifies?
My mother's birthday. It's her birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Even better. What? And hopefully...
I don't know what else there is, though.
Yeah.
Greg's birthday?
Actually, pretty good. And let's see. I think I have it wrong.
I don't know.
No. Well, first of all, happy birthday to Chris's... Turn that down a little bit, but yeah.
Nice clip.
There you go. Yeah, we'll keep that playing in the background. So Chris's mom, if she's listening, thank you. Well, hey, happy birthday, all that good stuff. And then, of course, the same to. Okay, there's something wrong with me. Okay, I figured out Craig, but yeah, Craig is yelling at me in the chat room. But let's just say that tomorrow is Craig's birthday. So happy birthday to the. To the founder and former host of Computer America. So, there you go.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, indeed. We'll stop that now. But, yeah, birthdays all around. You know what? Everyone gets a birthday. Let's go ahead and just say that right now. And, okay. So, Ron Paul to birthdays to, hey, let's get back on track and do some tech and, some gaming news and just whatever news that we feel like. So... Okay, so everyone, Nathan Evans, of course, over at Popzara, they do their best to cover all types of media, including, not just shows and TV and movies and music and video games and comic books and podcasts and. Actually, that is what they do. They do all of that and more, and you should have to go. I
gotta tell your audience the truth. We do all that stuff, and I think we do it pretty well. But the tech stuff gets the biggest bump from our listeners and our readers. Like, even though it's not our biggest focus, it's huge because the fans are legion. Mm-hmm. And what's funny? If you have a microphone, like, they will remember every product name. Like, if you have, like, you and I will say, "Oh, did you get the Sony headset?"
Yeah.
No, not these people. "Oh, did you get the Sony XPS R4 VVV R22?" What? But they know it.
Yes, the G503 from Logitech, of course.
It's funny. Like, they are tough, and it's really hard when you're a minimalist website like Popzara. What we do is we take the hard edges off. Like, you'll read about movies, but you won't read about like cinematic cine verte and all this stuff. I mean, you might a little bit, but with the tech stuff, like, they do. You've met Herman. Herman's kind of that way,
of course.
But we typically don't do a lot of worthless things like benchmarking everything, because that stuff is worthless in real world. It just is. But if you love it, go for it. We love it too. Don't listen to me. But the tech stuff, man, it is big.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hey, but that's why we're here too. We definitely enjoyed that. It looks like I'm getting some problems with my microphone that I need to fix here for just a moment. But Nathan, I want to start you off on a story, assuming that you can still understand me. And I thought that we start with the Epic Games, Spotify, the Advocacy group. This is something that I've never really heard of before. These multi-billion-dollar companies starting an advocacy group for, well, poor themselves. So if you wouldn't mind.
Well, we've talked a little bit about this. This is more of a continuation. And by the way, you did kind of sound like a Star Trek alien, but you still sounded pretty good. So it's okay.
I got to work on it.
No, I thought it was me, so I unplugged my microphone too. But nothing.
I thought it was me too.
I wish both of you would say something. That would have helped me immensely. So one second.
I did. It was in the chat room.
I didn't know either. No, so what we're talking about is a continuation about the story that has basically been one of the biggest tech stories since the Microsoft antitrust story back in the 90s, is that Apple's under a lot of pressure because they've been engaging in what some people have been calling monopolistic practices in regards to maintaining software like Fortnite. Again, something that Ben and I will talk about in a minute, not allowing certain competition like Microsoft Xbox Game Pass streaming services on iOS. And it's not just Apple, though, to be honest with you. That's a little Google there as well. But there was a development. And for those who don't know, are you back? Are we good to go? Oh, I like this, Ben. I can't hear him. So, hey, Ben. Like what Ben's saying is Nathan now runs the show. He's the host. So that's what we're going to do now. No, long story short, so the key players in this whole thing, Chris, I don't know, are you nerdy about this too? Have you followed this at all? About
just a little bit, mostly through like just the show and stuff like.
This is awesome. So anyway,
Can you hear me?
I find it.
Yes.
He's back. This is what's called running up the clock.
Exactly. And hopefully I sound a little bit normal. I have so many wires running, and by the way, I have so many wires running everywhere. I don't know which one to pull. So, and I don't have the time to pull all of them. But yeah. So Nathan, I'm sorry, you're about to get into this a little bit of background.
You and I have talked about this a little bit too. And I was telling Chris, I don't find this story interesting from a game perspective. I find it interesting from a business perspective.
Right.
Because one of the reasons I've always maintained that one of Apple's greatest things is that you have this curated app store that keeps out the riffraff. But at some point, you kind of want some of the riffraff because the riffraff makes it interesting. And I'm not taking sides on this one, although I do have a preference, and it's not Apple. But Epic has been sort of teasing the water about, and they've been lobbying lawsuits back and forth in court. Apple contests this, Epic contests that. It's getting pretty nasty. And at some point, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. I'm on record as saying there's going to be concessions that Apple's going to concede because they're going to miss out on 30% of anything that Epic makes, which right now they're making bupkis because there's nothing there. So 30% of nothing is still nothing. But anyway, so there's a coalition that started. This coalition is started by Epic Games, Spotify, Match.com, and more. I think we know one of the reasons why this has been because this has nothing to do with gaming. It has everything to do with subscription services.
Yeah.
Spotify, of course, is the major competitor to Apple Music. Apple just announced their Apple One, was it? Apple One thingamorother?
Yeah.
Where
the Apple One is the all self-contained subscription service, and you get like news and fitness and music. Yeah.
You don't get everything though. It's like all things Apple. There's tiers.
Yeah.
And but the big one is Apple Music. I mean, because Apple Music's been very successful. It's comparable to Spotify.
I mean, it's no title, but yeah.
Well, don't say that. You'll have Kanye West retweeting you. He'll be peeing on your show. But by the way, I love Kanye West. Look, you know what?
He's so crazy.
You know what? He's so entertaining. Like, and I hope he gets the help he needs. But he is does. Like, I don't understand how people can follow like Taylor Swift and like this is so interesting. No, Kanye is interesting. So anyway. So you have Epic Games, you have Spotify, basically a lot of people who have competitor products to Apple. And the problem is Apple's not allowing them to do whatever they want, however they want. So they're joining up and to a new coalition. It's called the Coalition for App Fairness, CAF for short, if you're nasty. It's a nonprofit organization, so they say it's going to challenge the rules set by Apple Store. But as we saw today, Ben, there's been a development while we were talking.
Yeah, what's that?
The Microsoft story.
The Microsoft story.
Apple's relenting a little bit. Apple is now going to allow Microsoft to stream their stuff. So it's, again, there's a little crack in the Apple ceiling.
So and the reason I'm rubbing my head and saying that it's a non-profit organization.
I know.
It's all about profits. It is, and like the organization itself can be nonprofit. That's all well and good, but this is strictly about profits. And let's see. So, Chris, if you want to correct me on anything I'm about to say, but when we talked about this on the show, it's to the nature of, well, Epic is trying to, kind of do their workaround, which there are already exceptions to the Apple App Store fees that you could, like, say Netflix. If you have a Netflix subscription, you don't have to pay for that through Apple to use it on Apple devices. Well, you can just, log in.
Did you see what Apple was forcing Microsoft to do? It was asinine. Like, no one's ever going to do that. Like, every individual game that you would stream had to have its own app.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, can you imagine that for Netflix? You'd have like you'd have 10 pages of apps of all Stranger Things episodes. It'd be terrible.
And of course, Apple and their claim is that they want to better protect the consumer, and if they're able to kind of refund the consumer's money right up front, and then take it to the company and say, "Hey, we had to refund this product. You have to give us back our money." It's almost like Apple is operating as the strict middleman in all these transactions. But of course, the other side is, well, Apple is forcing everyone to use their App Store, and they get their 30% cut, which is non-negotiable, which we have seen services like Steam, for instance. They have relented. We talked about them last time. The current situation, untenable, but I think that, Spotify and Epic and all these other companies that are joining together, they aren't, the victims in all this either.
No, are you kidding?
This is strictly a business dispute. This is a business dispute, and I don't think anyone should be picking sides.
Ben, are you saying that this nonprofit formed by these multi-billion-dollar companies that collectively have over $1 trillion is not on par with Feed the Children? These poor souls that need their apps.
And like, honestly, like, for the first time in maybe ever, like, I know, like, the East Indian Trading Company back in the day was worth a lot more money, but like, this is one of the first times that we have like a trillions of dollars versus trillions of dollars. This legal battle is, no one is hurting for legal fees here, is what I'm saying, and whatever happens, I'm hoping the consumer wins.
Again, I mentioned Microsoft, but there was another thing that happened today too. I'd be remiss for mentioning. Apple is relenting on Facebook. They're waiving their 30% fees on Facebook for Facebook events. Like, Apple is signaling a change is coming. Like, Apple never does this. And you know what I thought?
It could just be subject to, like, if it could just be, because it's Facebook, they're doing that.
It could be, and I think I think you're right. I think it's favored nation status. I think what companies do we want to partner with? And I'll say this to you. When Apple had their show last week, do you remember when it was a big deal? Oh my God, Apple's show! Everyone had it tattooed on their butts. Like, everybody really, they'd go crazy over it, because you know what that was? That was the addiction to Steve Jobs' personality. Took about 6 years to wear off. And when people realized these Apple shows without Steve Jobs were boring, they didn't want to admit it. Like, oh, you have to do this. And I don't know if you remember this, Krista, but to watch an Apple show before, this is how high and mighty Apple was. You had to have an Apple device. You had to have a Mac. You had to have an iPad. You couldn't watch it because their show was important. Right?
Really?
And everyone else had to live blog the damn thing.
Everyone else... It's like everyone used YouTube, but to watch it, you had to stream it through the Safari browser. Like, no one used it except to watch that one keynote.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
And you know what now? Now it's on YouTube.
Yeah, good.
How the mighty have fallen, because this is Apple. Because I think it's an admission that they are no longer in the position to change anything. And I didn't really want to talk about this as a story, but I'll just say it as an aside. Amazon had their little shindig. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, we talked about everything. Yeah.
Yeah, Amazon is the new Apple. Like when it comes to innovation and fun, crazy hardware, like none of the stuff they have.
Are you talking about the drone by chance?
I'm just saying they're the company you watch to see the future now. It's not Apple. Like Apple's the company you watch to see. Okay, Apple is like Elvis Presley. He didn't invent the music, but he sang it better.
And he had good hips. Yes,
he had good hips. But you know what I mean? Like if you listen to black music, then the stuff that Elvis sang was not new to you. It was just, oh, white boy soul. That's Apple. Apple's like, oh, here's a watch. Look how innovative it is. We have cameras. Yeah, what was it, iOS 14? Widgets? Haven't seen that on a phone. But it worked well on iPhone. iPhone's pretty good. But Amazon shows you all sorts of crazy stuff. And they're like, I don't like half of it, to be honest with you. I don't like surveillance. But it's futuristic. And we haven't gotten anything futuristic out of Apple in 10 years. Like, when's the last time you saw Apple actually innovate a market sector?
I mean, their Apple Watch was able to be approved to like take blood oxygen levels and things like that. But innovate
as an O2 sensor, yeah. But
let's face it, Apple hasn't innovated since.
Say it, Ben. Just say what everyone's thinking.
Well, and I don't know what everyone's thinking, but they haven't innovated since Steve Jobs died. And of course, when Tim Cook took over. Investors loved it because he ran Apple like a business. There was no more one more thing. It was, hey, at this earnings report, we're going to bring out 3 new products. Like it was no longer one more thing. It was, here's what we're going to do. And it's not innovate. It's just keep at it.
Tim Cook was Steve Jobs' last innovation. The man was an innovation. And for those who don't know, there used to be a time back in the dark ages where you have to stand 2 weeks outside to get an iPhone. And then, or unless you were rich enough to hire like Chinese nationalists or homeless people to do it for
stand in line. Yeah.
There was an entire business of aftermarket iPhones because they didn't have the product line set up. Tim Cook revolutionized the product line in a way that nobody's ever done before or since. It's gone now. You do not wait in line. Go to Walmart right now. You can't buy a Switch because Nintendo doesn't do what Apple does. Apple will sell more iPhones in a weekend than Nintendo will sell Switches in 3 years, and they'll make more money on each one.
NVIDIA needs a Tim Cook. NVIDIA needs a Tim Cook. Good Lord.
But here, I'm going to lose some listeners here. But Tim Cook is the kind of guy who takes over Heinz and makes 50 types of mayonnaise. Like he cannot make a new product. He makes more mayonnaise. He makes different mayonnaise. And some of that mayonnaise tastes good, but like all mayonnaise, it's still mayonnaise. But he's not going to make ketchup because that's not what he does. He's not a ketchup guy. He's a mayonnaise guy. And he's a pretty white guy too. But what I'm saying is that you now have to look elsewhere to see the future because there's nobody at Apple. I think they even lost Johnny Ives. There's nobody at Apple that can do this.
They did and they didn't. And just to be clear about that one in particular, Johnny Ives left the company, but they said that he started his own design firm and his first customer was Apple. So like they're still working together, but obviously the ties, it's not exclusively Apple Ives, that kind of thing. I will say though that Apple years ago, and unfortunately, Steve Jobs did die just as this was starting to, kind of come to fruition, but they came out with HomeKit. Devices started popping up all around the home. Apple should have had that market. Apple should have been the home security. Apple should have been, the smart speaker and all that kind of thing.
We talked about this. No. All that begat from Siri. Like they had everything first. They had all the. He left them
HomeKit, Siri,
with
everything, and nothing.
Yeah. Nothing. And they have you ever used Apple Car? Like, have you guys ever used Apple Car? It's a mess. Like, it doesn't work. Yeah, CarPlay, it doesn't really work.
No.
It's better than Android Play, but I'm still saying not by much. Like, they all stink. But yeah, it's like, I'm not defending, I can't defend a company that gleefully charges like $1,000 for a monitor stand or $800 for wheels and still thinks themselves innovative. Like, those better be some damn good wheels, but they're just wheels. They just roll.
No, you're not wrong. And by the way, the best way I could segue, from this conversation to what I want to talk about, because I want to. This was a story that we just kind of saw, and this has to do with App Store fees. Even the story right here, they're saying that Spotify and Tinder, and of course the owner of Tinder's Match Group, have joined in about profits and that kind of thing. Well, speaking of profits, I just wanted to talk about this as kind of an aside, because anyone out there who has used dating apps knows that, of course, the free experience is always going to be there. You need the you need the meat in the meat market, okay? But turns out you can charge exceptionally high for hot dogs, I guess, is one way to put this. Tinder is charging straight men over 50 almost 5 times more than some other users to sign up for its premium service.
Oh my God.
And that's according to a recent investigation by an Australian consumer advocacy group. So yeah, they did mystery shoppers. Essentially, they logged in from different parts of the world, different age groups, different ethnicities, different genders, and they said, hey, I'd like to sign up for 6 months. And they received bills between $6.99 and $17 per month for the service. And of course, one being charged $14.99 and up to $35 a month. So
is it that low? I thought they'd charge them more.
Hey, I guess, Nathan, you just have to age up 10, 15 years, and you too can be charged 5 times as much.
Question, is it based on location as well, or is it just based on your demographic, like your age?
They said multiple sources, but they said that the cheapest deal, $7 a month, was offered to queer females aged under 30, and of course that's based on your location as well,
so
being in the city.
The exact opposite of straight men.
And I wonder if it's density of people on the app too.
That too, and then straight men over 50, as Nathan was pointing out, they got the $35.
I can comment. I helped a friend. I've helped a couple of friends get matched on Tinder. I don't want to say their names, I'll embarrass them, but I've actually had 2 really good friends get married because of this. I'll say this. Duh. Have you been to a bar? They have ladies' nights. They don't have guys' nights because, you said, this is how it works. Every single thing associated with sex is going to be discriminatory in the favor of the key demographic, which is older, white, straight guys. That's how it works. You go to a bar, the guys buy ladies' drinks. The girls, they don't have to pay a cover charge. And guys are okay with this. You won't see riots out. You're not going to see straight white guys' lives matter because their Tinder fees are too high. They're like, well, it increases my chances of getting matched. Mm-hmm. So it's I don't want to say positive discrimination, but it's probably what funds these apps. It keeps them alive.
Yeah,
it probably also filters out the people, because a lot of younger people are using these apps. So if your grandpa wants to hop on to find a young chick, he's going to have to pay more.
Grandpa
taking up server space.
Hey, there are so many sugar daddies and sugar mamas, and what do you call the opposite of a sugar daddy? It's
I think it's sugar mama.
Sugar mama? No, who's so.
What is it called? Sugar baby.
Yeah, sugar baby. And by the way, these people exist, and they exist copacetically. They're people whose desire is to be this. But I'll say this: for those who don't know, there's more than just Tinder and Match. I don't know who uses Match or eHarmony, but they're probably old and gray. But for gay people have Grindr. You have, I think there's Bumble for women. There's all these things. And the kids today, they hook up on Snapchat. They hook up on they use normal apps as dating apps now.
So just for everyone, just for their peace of mind, because we've actually had the Match Group on a number of times on the show during around the time Valentine's Day. We want to make sure people know about these things. Just so you know, some of the ones that you were kind of mentioning, a lot of
OkCupid's a big one too.
Let's see. So Match Group, which owns Tinder, also owns, and this is kind of like the grocery store thing where you're like, look at all these choices, and it's all owned
Kroger.
by 3. Yeah, exactly. It's all owned by 3 companies. The Match Group owns Tinder, Match.com, Meetic, OkCupid, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, Ship, and on top of that, they also run all of the niche ones like Black People Meet. They run Farmers Only. They run really just any dating app that you have heard of, other than Bumble. Match Group owns them. So
Yeah, the word dating doesn't mean what we think it means anymore. But no, I mean, to be honest with you, though, you're not going to hear about this a lot. I don't know if you and Carissa have discussed this about other products, but there's so much of this sort of thing happening. And I don't necessarily know, and I have no proof that they're charging older straight white men more money, or it's just that the more prolific users, because if you use Tinder, if you use Match, a lot of that stuff is in-app purchases, where, yeah, I'd like to, by the way, if you're listening Tinder Match, if you allowed your people to dress like Halo characters, your app would make so much more money. It would be so much more money. But no, I don't know, because a lot of the in-app purchases probably require additional purchases to use the services more. So I don't know if that's where the disparity comes from. But I'll tell you what, people still call 1-900 numbers. They still order pay-per-view porno movies in hotels. Like this stuff exists because people use it. It's why older people still get viruses on their computer, because they still download emails from Nigeria.
Right.
Like
and by the way, there's a Sam special, I believe it's still on Netflix, and Bill Burr, who very, very funny, and one of his bits way back when in like 2012, he had a bit about grocery stores, wanting your personal information, and he was, complaining about the fact that when you go to checkout, they're like, oh, what's your address, where do you live, what's your phone number, whatever, do you have our, I can't say those words on the air, do you have our card or whatever, and he's like, I don't know what you're up to, but you're up to something. You don't want to make less money. When they collect all of your personal information, it kind of makes sense on a dating site, but really that's the point that I think
you can decline. You can say no at the grocery store. Yeah,
you can, but then you're charged more because they don't get your data. And of course,
90210. It's always 90210.
So essentially, and of course, 867-5309 if you need a number. But yeah, and exactly, but
which is a good time.
That's the point, is that they don't want to make less money, and yeah, they're not going to. So if you are, as Chris has said, one of the people who just is not a prime demographic in a dating site, which, let's face it, a prime demographic is female. Female, you're going to be paid more to let in, or I'm sorry, you are going to be charged more to be let in. So there you go.
Well, I will say this for anybody using Tinder and all this stuff, and I will say this from a personal experience of having flipped left and right through these things. And no offense, Chris, this might sound a little offensive, but if the women look too good for your neighborhood, they probably are. Like, there are so many bots and spam bots. Like, my friend lived in the middle of nowhere, and he's seeing cheerleaders from like China. No, they don't live next to you. Swipe right, or whatever it is. Just no, you don't want to be involved in that.
Yeah, no, that is a completely different conversation, but it's a very true one. Tinder has done very, very little to combat botting, and it's kind of like Twitter at this point. Bots make numbers look good to investors in the board. So
they're also honeypotting, though, because if you have all these, I mean, the ratio of men to women is like 50-1. If you have all these beautiful women that look outstanding, they look perfect, and like, I just want a good time, but you can't swipe them because you don't have enough swipes, or you can't DM them because you don't have enough access. Oh, but buy these crystals or whatever they sell, the points things, and it'll give you access. But you're trying to access people that don't exist. And I don't believe Tinder or any of these people have any mechanisms for allowing you to get your money back.
No, not at all. Yeah. So, okay, let's transition a little bit here from app to app. And how about we can talk about this real quick. This is something that we did not discuss on the show, though we meant to on Wednesday. Yeah, but we did not talk about California saying that they will be phasing out the internal combustion engine. Nathan's already laughing. By 2035, they will they will stop all sales of anything with a combustion engine pretty much by 2035. Within California. And of course, Nathan, as we have talked about California in the past, they are such a large economy that whatever California does, other states and other places in the United States have to follow suit.
Sometimes. I'll say this, Chris, I don't know if you know this, but if you ever buy a product anywhere, a lot of times they'll have that extra sticker, like, in California, this product is known to cause cancer.
Right.
Or yeah, but it doesn't cause cancer in 49 other states? Wow. What's unique about California? And I used to live there. I used to work in there in the industry, as Ben knows. And it's like going to Seoul, Korea. Like there's a learning process because you see different products in different ways, and you see signs and safety signs, and you realize California is madness. Like something in California causes people to lose their minds and to not do things in a way that benefits people, but yet appear to benefit people. Like let's ban blueberry cereal. but let's do this. Let's make all these contradictory policies that don't seem to mean anything, because and I do think it's political, but not in like a left-right way. I think it's interstitial political. Like when you only have one major party and that party is greed, that you're competing against each other for loans, you're competing against each other for acquisitions, for land, for all this stuff, and so you have contradictory policies that exist only in those groups. For example, New York City. New York City fights Uber tooth and nail. You know who else fights Uber tooth and nail? California. Because what exists are these pre-existing monopolies that do not want to let go of power. For example, where's Tesla based? Where's all these e-cars and all these electric cars based?
If you're
Not
anywhere
in
near
Utah.
tech, if you're anywhere near tech,
not in Utah.
as much as they talk about, oh, we're going to move our operations to Austin, Texas, to Boulder, Colorado, to St. Louis, Missouri, whatever.
Nope.
As much as they talk about that, and that includes Amazon, Tesla, Google, all of them. No, they all stay in California.
To be fair, that's changing, and I want to get into that because this is really interesting to me. I love California. I have a lot of good friends in California, but California is messed up. They are literally making this announcements that they're going to get rid of gas vehicles within a week of rolling brownouts. Like you have the largest, most populous state telling people, like issuing daily mandates, turn off your air conditioner. We are going to turn off your power.
They have been dealing with fires, though. To be fair, they're under a lot of stress in the short term.
But the power has nothing to do with the brownouts. In fact, a lot of the fires are consistent because I don't know if you remember this, guys, but in 2003, the governor, was it Gray Davis, actually also had rolling brownouts. It turns out, they cause forest fires, which is a completely different issue. It turns out that he was colluding with the power companies in order to establish brownouts. I believe it was run by Enron or some Enron adjacent company.
Enron, good company.
Yeah. But Gray Davis was recalled over this. He was replaced by Arnold Schwarzenegger because of his mismanagement of this. Like this might happen now with who's the governor now? Gavin Newsom. So you have companies that are trying to push electric cars onto a grid that can't support TVs. Like, no offense, the optics are not good. And I think it was a guy that I'm growing to love. You know me, I'm not a big fan of Elon Musk, but I'm growing to like the guy. And
he rubs off on you in not the offensive way.
I'm starting to like him. He's making sense. But I'll say this. I believe he announced that his next Tesla thing is going to be away from California. Like, you have an excess of people, of talent, leaving California for these new hotspots. We have hotspots in Georgia. We have hotspots in Boston. We have hotspots elsewhere because it's just not a competitive market. And again, I'm okay with electric cars, but the problem is that's assuming 15 years from now, electric cars are going to be more stable, more energy efficient, and they're not. And environmentally speaking, they're a disaster. They work in small bits and they work in small markets because you have infrastructure that's built for those small markets. But can you expand electric cars, which consume electricity, which requires power, and exposed to these gas models? And I don't think you can do
That's my bad. Sorry. Elon Musk, don't doubt your vibe. Okay. You sent that. We'll play that softly in the background, hopefully not get DMCA.
I was going to say you were trying to set that up. But again,
play that just softly in the background. Don't doubt your vibe. So please,
didn't he marry Grimes, a singer?
He did.
Yeah.
And he named his baby some mathematical equation.
Yeah, you can't even pronounce its name.
Kyle, I think, is what it's technically.
Didn't he help Kanye West run for president?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Elon Musk help advise Kanye West on presidency?
Yeah, for that week, that was different. All right, it's clear as if I play any more of that, I think I do have to pay him $3.2 billion. So yeah, go ahead.
Here's the truth. The truth is we're not going to have Richard Branson forever. Okay, at some point we need a new craziest billionaire. like a crazy fun billionaire, and it ain't Bill Gates. So I'm sorry.
I can see to wrap back around to why California is doing this. You know, of course, they said that global warming does have a big impact on this. They do say that cutting emissions is a big part of this. You know, and of course, what his numbers actually mean by 35% reduced, who the heck knows? But he did want to say, like you said way back at the beginning, Nathan, which is that greed part. And you know, it's greed, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense. They say that California, you know, the government says that they want California to be the epicenter of the electric car market. That, you know,
they already are,
but they want to be more so. So
here's the thing, man. When I lived in California in the 90s, right, late 90s, and I lived in a city called Thousand Oaks, and we were adjacent right to the largest electronic car manufacturer and seller in the world, and they didn't work then. And for lots of reasons. And there was even documentaries about this called Who Killed the Electric Car? And you can do this. And Tesla has done major work in making these things work. There's a Tesla dealership 20 minutes from where I live right now. Fantastic, right? And we laugh when they say, oh, self-autonomous driving cars, accidents, whatever. But you know what? They're pretty cool. The tech is cool. Yeah. But they are not the replacement to gas cars the way people think they are. Let me put it this way. Electronic cars are no more the replacement to carbon guzzling gas cars any more than Blu-rays were the replacement for DVDs. Just because the technology is better and more efficient does not make it the natural successor. 15 years is a long time in development of anything. We don't know what's going to happen in 15 years. I will tell you one thing though. If you're going to ask 40 million Californians to give up their crappy gas guzzling cars, ain't gonna happen. It's not going to happen. At
least I think that new car sales are going to be strictly electric, but I think that existing cars are going to be allowed to stay on the road for the life of them. Well, and of course, you know, at some point, California can always say, we're not going to be issuing any more tags for, you know, cars that don't meet these emission standards. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But
I'll just say this. They do not have the infrastructure. There's no plan to build the infrastructure. Again, this is a city. This is a state that has done nothing to prepare for this. They have sat on their butts because there is...
They got 15 years, Nathan. 15 years is a long time to build this up.
I'm just telling you, 20 years ago, they haven't made any changes in 20 years already. You can't flip a switch and have everybody go electric when your infrastructure doesn't work, when you have pre-existing contracts.
That's not true. Nathan, in 20 years, the hipsters have gone from the giant giant wheeled spoke
We still got
thing.
Man buns. We got man buns and Capri Pants.
But now the hipsters are on hoverboards. The future is here. You're just not seeing it clearly.
Okay, first of all, something that has a wheel on it is not a hoverboard.
I agree.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's like calling a hot dog a sandwich. It has a wheel. It's not hovering. Okay. Back to the Future, baby.
Well, wheelie boards was the thrown out one for skateboards, so they couldn't reuse that. It had to be a hoverboard.
And by the way, can I just... where are you at? You're in Colorado, right?
Yeah, I'm in Colorado. Out here, we've got these people that ride around. They're on like unicycled hoverboards. It's like one wheel. It's like
one big wheel on the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't look cool.
No,
you look dorky.
You look stupid.
Yeah, well, you know what? If you just go for it. Just go for it.
I'm just jealous is what it is.
There you go. Everyone here is jealous. Now, plenty of time. We can get into some of these other ones. I wanted to talk about Luna, which, and by the way, again, we did cover everything that Amazon announced yesterday on the show, but I did want to see how you felt about Luna, because when we talked about it, we were like, oh, another game streaming service, but hey, at least Amazon runs half of the internet, so maybe they'll be able to get it right, because they at least have the networking expertise to get low latency gaming to people. Maybe
they have the killer app. It's unlimited play. I mean, if you're going to have one of these services and you don't have unlimited play, then you don't have a service. I mean, honestly, like this is like what we're talking about. Google Stadia, for example, like where you had to pay a subscription service on top of the individual price on top of that. Yeah, that was never going to work. And we ridiculed them rightfully a while ago. Whereas I've maintained from a commerce perspective, Microsoft Game Pass was the future. And by the way, Ben, can I just say, called it, told you so.
Game Pass has been killing it, and we're going to talk about that. But yeah,
what did I tell you on this show 2 months ago? I said the Game Pass service is the future of Xbox, and it is, and they made that happen.
Yeah,
why? Because it's awesome. Because it's the only thing that made sense. And so, but the Luna thing, it's Amazon. So here's the thing. it's going to be mediocre in certain ways, and it's going to offer amazing amount of value in other ways, kind of like the Kindle tablets, the Fire tablets. Like if you buy a Fire tablet, you are not getting the best of anything in any way, shape, or form, but you are getting enough of the great stuff to make it worth the low cost because Amazon can subsidize it. So it's like 1/5 the cost of an iPad, but you have access to Amazon stuff. But you also have no access to the Google stuff. But again, you have access to the Amazon stuff. They're selling you the hardware so you can pay for the service. The Luna thing, this is what Amazon always does. You know this. They take a product that someone else already tried. They do their own version of it. Sometimes it works, like with Kindle, and sometimes it doesn't work, like with the phone. But generally speaking, they've been kind of hitting, pop flies.
Amazon definitely comes in kind of after something has already happened, but they come in at the right price with a good quality service, and it usually sticks around. And of course, Luna is not Twitch, but Twitch, let's face it, Amazon has dabbled a bit in, I guess, at least what is interesting to watch in terms of video games. So I think they know, pulling from that data source, they know what games are kind of are people interested in right now, and then of course they can work on bringing those to a platform like Luna. So
and they're
already there in some extent.
But they have a huge advantage over everybody. They own the world's biggest networks, and I think they're partnering with Microsoft as well, and their back end is going to be outrageous for this. But at the end of the day, it's still cloud streaming, and cloud streaming is not very good. And that's the thing. With Game Pass, we mentioned it a while ago. With Game Pass, you pay, let's just say $15 because no one gets the cheap version. You pay $15 a month. You get access to all these games on Xbox, on Windows. You have access to Xbox Live. And in the future, you're going to have access to the EA stuff. You're going to have access to cloud streaming on top of that. Like it's such a huge value proposition. And we can talk, if you want to, we could talk about finance consoles later, but just as a value proposition, for example, you go and you pay $60 for Halo Infinite if and when it ever comes out, or you pay $15 a month and you have that and plus all this other stuff. It's terrible for collectors. But for people who actually like playing games, it's a huge value.
So, and by the way, and we're going to switch over to Doom Eternal and the Xbox Game Pass and that kind of thing, but we're also going to talk about the recent acquisition of Bethesda and I guess ZeniMax, which owns Bethesda and and all that kind of thing. But I did want to say that one tangent we can talk about real quick is, of course, did you see what's happening with GameStop, Nathan?
May they rest in peace. Go away. No, I know. I understand
they had and just for everyone else who doesn't know, they had a gentleman come in who was behind the company that sends pet stuff to your door, Pets, Chewy. Yes, thank you.
Are they still around? Are they still around?
Yes, they're actually doing very well, especially in the age of COVID, where you have stuff delivered directly to your door for your pets. But anyways,
People love their pets.
He is the gentleman who is behind the success of Chewy, and yes, Chewy is a success. And he said, you know what? We're going to take like a $2 billion stake in GameStop. And yes, GameStop, the one that is closing nationwide. And they said, we're going to turn GameStop into a true competitor to Amazon.
Okay.
Sure.
Both of you said it.
Sure.
I don't know how, but that's what they're going for. So GameStop may not be going away just yet.
Will magic crystals be involved?
Probably. And you could probably buy them very cheaply when they go out of business. But yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work out because, honestly, the last time I went into GameStop, I actually went in and I bought something digital on a card. I didn't even buy a game in GameStop, and it was such a strange experience. And again, like Walmart, competing with Amazon.
Well, did they try to upsell the hell out of you? Because they always.
Oh yeah, always.
Oh my goodness. I had to listen to one of my editors complain, and that's the word I'm using. About GameStop this morning because they screwed up an order of his. And I'm not talking about Xbox or PlayStation 5, just a simple order. And they refused to fix it and all this sort of thing. And I said, that's what you get for ordering from there. Because why on earth would you choose this proprietary store where you have to go out of your way when you can do the same thing at Walmart or Amazon?
Or Steam or Steam. Anything.
Well, to be fair, I can say this. He wanted the Super Mario 3D collection on the Switch, which is really hard to find. Okay. They said in the wrong order. They refused to fix it. I mean, I get it. It's a rare thing. But here's the thing. GameStop did this to themselves. They were on a mission to eradicate all competition by buying them and turning them into this big conglomerate. For those who don't remember, EB Games, Babbage's, Software, etc., they all got gobbled up like the Prince of the Galaxy in that, what's that game, Katamari Damacy? Like big rolling ball of beetle dung. But what they should have done is what we mentioned, we joked about it before, what Kroger did. Kroger is one of the world's largest grocery stores. And what Kroger does, you probably have a Kroger next to you, you don't even know it, because what Kroger does, they go and they buy local stores and they gut them, but they keep the identity for the local place. So you could still shop at, like, for example, where I live in the Midwest, we have Kroger, we have Dillon's. More where you live, they have Kroger, they have what's the one they just bought out?
I was gonna say like Harris Teeter or something like that.
Harris Teeter. In Las Vegas, they have Smith's. In California, I believe it's Ralph's.
Here it's King Supers.
Is that? There's so many.
Let's see: Harris Teeter, Fred Meyer, Ralph's, King Supers, Tom Thumb, Smith's Food for Less, Dillon's, Home Chef, QFC, Vitacost. Yeah, all that is Kroger.
But you see, but they're all Kroger, but they're all different, and that's what GameStop didn't do. They tried to create this unibody thing. You can't do that. Can't do that. And so they've took the flavor out, and instead they were able to dismantle local game stores and local stuff, and there's no competition. So guess what? When other companies that had better value propositions on the one thing you do is to sell games. And when Walmart does that better, you're dead.
But they're also in an industry that is very, very much going digital. You know, I know that you said this kind of sucks for the collector, but let's face it, most people who play video games, myself included, trust me, I have every single World of Warcraft expansion box set and artwork up on my shelf up until Wrath of the Lich King. Cataclysm. No, I'm sorry. I have Cataclysm too. Mists of Pandaria. Mists of Pandaria was like 2016 was like the last time I bought a physical copy of a game. It's just going digital.
Yeah, that's no excuse. When Walmart, Target, Best Buy, they have a say in what happens in these industries. For example, when you go to something like E3 or CES, one of the reasons you go there, if you're retail, is you have a stake in what's happening. So GameStop, as the only major video game store, should have a say in what happens, which they did, by the way. When the Xbox One was announced, it was not supposed to be what it became. It was supposed to be an entertainment box that hooked up to cable boxes. Remember that? You weren't going to be able to sell your used game. You couldn't do all this stuff. GameStop stepped in along with some others, and they said, if you do this, this will hurt us at retail. These companies, GameStop, with all due respect, they should have been more involved in this process. They could have dealt with this. They could have found a way to mutually benefit. Because I can tell you right now, I can tell you from experience, because this is what I do, not everybody has access to high-speed internet. Not everybody has access to 80 gigs of data for an update. And what's going to happen? The first thing that happens when you buy that new Xbox, right? You buy that new Xbox, guess what? Hard drive full. Guess how much a hard drive for the new Xbox costs? $220 for a hard drive.
Do you think that is why, and this is a little bit of a transition here, but do you think this is why we are actually going to get, maybe for the first time, a strictly, PlayStation and Xbox are both going to have strictly digital consoles? No CD drive, DVD drive, whatever. Of course, that is like on the cheaper one and strictly digital, but then the more expensive ones still have it. But there is that option, and before you never had that option.
You did. The Xbox One had an all digital version, and pretty
later. That was like a later iteration.
Well, I actually no. It's not just that though. Your iPhone doesn't have an optical drive. Like your media player doesn't have.
Does
an
the Switch?
Drive.
I don't think the Switch does either.
No, so. Switch got rid of it.
Cartridges.
Has cartridges. And let me ask you a question. When's the last time you installed software from a DVD? Like it's just like this, like the revolution.
What are you talking about? Nathan Evans, Microsoft Flight Simulator is not going to install itself over the internet.
No. Go to Walmart. Go to any store that caters to the middle class, and you will see buckets of DVDs and Blu-rays. You will see shelves and shelves and shelves. Every major little city, including I think Asheville, where you live, they have used game stores because this market is giant. Like, for example, what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop the licensing loophole that happens when you sell a used game.
Yeah.
If I were to buy Doom Eternal for $70 brand new or $65,
you can't loan it to your friend. Yeah.
Well, I can loan it to my friend right now if I bought it on disc.
Yeah.
But if I bought it optical, well, okay, there are ways around that too.
We've bought digital, but yeah.
But I'll bring it back to GameStop because it's the only one who buys it, and they'll give me like $10, and they'll put it right back on the shelf and sell it for $5 less. And then the person who buys that open copy of Doom Eternal, guess what happens to Bethesda or whatever? They don't get a percentage off that sale, and they're trying to stop that. But it's so short-sighted because what they are totally missing, is the fact that the secondhand market is 2 to 3 times larger than the firsthand market. Like
True.
this step. If they only that would be like, imagine if movies only existed in theaters. The only way you get to see Star Wars is to go to a theater. The only way you saw Avengers Endgame is to go to a theater, and that's it. There's no home market because the only way we're like Christopher Nolan. The only experience you can have is the one I want. You have to see Tenet on the big screen. You can't stream it. Guess what happened to Tenet the movie? It bombed because there's no option. Mulan didn't bomb as much. You have Trolls World Tour didn't bomb because they realized you just can't have this one and only bite. There has to be secondary markets.
Trolls World Tour didn't bomb, but
it was huge. No, it was the big.
But I think people need to remember that. Yes, even though it was a stream movie, it was the highest grossing movie of the year. Yes, at one point. So,
but if you hold, like, look at what they're doing now. Like, Chris, I don't know if you've been to Walmart lately. There've been advertisements for Wonder Woman like every 2 months because they keep shifting this movie. Oh, Wonder Woman's coming out.
It was delayed again to early 2021. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I feel so bad. They just delayed the Black Widow movie until May. Like
they saw Mulan stick her toe out, and it immediately gets slammed. And now,
to be fair, that movie was a stinker anyway. That movie was cursed. But I'll say this. But again, if the only way to play Doom Eternal is you have to buy it brand new on this particular hardware, the sales are going to fall. This is what happens. Secondary markets create interest.
Absolutely. So, and by the way, on the video portion, you can see it there. Doom Eternal, first game to arrive on Xbox Game Pass from ZeniMax. Great. I actually love that game. It was a lot of fun. And as you said, your review, Nathan, because you played this, was it's the best Halo game ever made. By the way,
No. Called it again. What did I say? I compared it. I said, this is better than anything that Microsoft has made for Halo. I said, this is the best Halo game. And what did Microsoft do? They bought the company.
Yes.
So the company that makes Halo, the company that makes Halo is terrible.
So now, that's still Microsoft, and then Bungie 343.
343 Studios is terrible. But you know what? They now own the company that makes Doom.
There you go.
Let them make it.
And now Microsoft is there. So, but Nathan, we have like 3 minutes left, and I wanted to touch on one thing that we have not touched on, which is, of course, the Xbox Series X, PS5. The PlayStation 5 price was announced, and we have both. I should probably pull that up. I think like the full-fledged PlayStation 5, like the big one with disk drive and all that good stuff, is $499, and the cheaper one is like $399. I want to say. You can correct me on that.
Well,
PlayStation, the PlayStation prices.
If I could do a little promotion, we did a podcast about it. We have a State of Gaming with our good friend Corey Gallagher, and we talk about this. And I think the pricing for the PlayStation Xbox is perfect. I think it's great. I think
Xbox Series X, 500, Xbox Series S, which is the cheaper. And by the way, there is a less spec capable difference. Yes, it is less capable, but $300, which is amazing. Yeah.
Yes, and that's not the amazing part. The PlayStation, of course, is $500, which we all thought, and then they undercut by having a $400 version without a disc. The PlayStation stuff is a lot easier. It's the same hardware, just minus a disc. Mm-hmm. The Xbox stuff is really interesting to me because Microsoft is going to offer a installment plan that you can
finance.
You can finance it. By the way, no interest, no upfront cost. I forget the company they're doing it through. It's called All Access Game Pass. That's revolutionary. That's the most interesting thing in this whole thing yet, because now you can get an Xbox. And when you add up, the crazy thing is, this is crazy talk. When you add up the $35 over 2 years, it's cheaper than buying it outright. What the hell? Mm-hmm. When has that ever happened? It's cheaper to subsidize.
Well, and that's the same business model that I guess printers and even Apple themselves. They know that they'll make money on the back end through apps and microtransactions and all that good stuff. They want to get people into the ecosystem.
Never on hardware though. But never on hardware. Yeah. Never on hardware. It's always a markup. That's how cell phone companies sell you an iPhone. But here's the thing. So you walk into a store, you order it, you get a $500 PlayStation 5, which I'm sure is going to be fine in the long run. No games, no online service, nothing. That's all separate. Or you finance the brand new Xbox Series X for $35. You hook it up. You have access to Game Pass out of the box. You have online play. For $35 a month, you have that. Mm-hmm. That's revolutionary. Like this is something that we've been thinking about for a long time. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but it should be. Like this is interesting to me because this gets hardware units out there immediately. It gets into people's hands where software developers now know where they can tailor their software to. This has never happened before. Honestly, this is one of the reasons why iPhone became so successful. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's definitely different. And by the way, I really like this image. So PlayStation and Xbox. We'll see. We'll definitely see what happens. But everyone out there, that's it. That's all the time that we have for the show. I apologize for the problems with my microphone way at the beginning, but I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And again, if Nathan, if people want to head on over to popzara.com, what are they going to find?
Well, they won't find an adorable dog. I'll tell you that. Because is that your dog, Krista? That's awesome.
That's mine.
That's Ben's dog.
That's mine.
I don't like it.
Screw my dog.
Screw that dog. I thought it was your dog. I don't like it now.
No, but that's Marlon. He's nice.
No, he's nice. They'll find what they always find. A really competent, well-made pop culture site with a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Things are going to get very interesting over the next 2 months. So stay tuned because there's a lot of stuff coming out. And we'll talk all about it.
Looking forward to that. So everyone, and of course, Carissa, thank you for being here, and everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Be here Monday. Everyone, have a great one. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Bye.